Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Friday. You've made it to the end of the week. We've made it together. And your reward, 2.5 hours hanging out with us here on 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. On our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. However you're joining us today, thanks so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. We'll make it worth your while. Have a funky good time on this Friday. My name is Dan Lucero, solo for the moment. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. Brendan Dorzinski is off today. Happy Friday to each and every one of you. It's great to have you along for this program. 2.5 hours. Not trying to make me work longer than I have to. 2.5 hours of 580 Sports Talk on this Friday. We'll break away early at 5:30 today and hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network as the Royals embark on their last three-city road trip of the season. 3 cities, 9 games. It begins tonight north of the border in Toronto against the red-hot Blue Jays, who lead the American League East. First pitch is scheduled for 6:07 tonight. I don't know why they do it at 7 past the hour in Toronto. Maybe it's a Canadian exchange rate thing. I don't know. But first pitch, 6:07. Pregame at 5:30 right here on the Royals Baseball Network on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. So typically we got 3 hours to cram everything in. Today we've only got 2.5. But rest assured, we are going to get everything in today on 580 Sports Talk. And that includes plenty of Royals talk. The dust has settled on the Major League Baseball trade deadline. The first of the roster moves to accommodate the 4 newest members of the Royals have been made. Only one of them is with the team tonight. That's Mike Yastrzemski, and he is starting in right field tonight for the Royals. But we'll talk about what can reasonably be expected from the 4 newest members of the Royals, how they can help the rest of the 2025 season. Now, Yastrzemski's the only rental. The pitchers the Royals acquired all have team control. And we may be a year away or more from their biggest impact on the Kansas City Royals. But what does it mean for 2025? What do these guys mean for 2025? And, oh yeah, this is a monster road trip. At the very least, it starts significantly. The final 3 games of this road trip look a little less daunting now because the first 2 stops, you've got Toronto leading the American League East, and you've got Boston ensconced right now in the second wild card spot in the AL. Then it's 3 in Minnesota. Do they have 26 Major League Baseball players kicking around that organization any longer? That was a fire sale to end all fire sales. And I'm going to tell you this. I know social media reaction isn't everything. Social media is a very small percentage in the end of the world. But that is going to be a very empty Target Field next weekend. That feels much more like a winnable series for the Kansas City Royals than it did when 24 hours ago, before the Twins started tearing everything down. So that's the end of the trip. But the first 2 stops on the trip are huge. And it's a big 6-game stretch coming up starting tonight in Toronto, followed by 3 in Boston to start next week. So we're going to talk some baseball here on the program. But, of course, we've got a whole lot of football to get to. The Chiefs were back at it today up in St. Joe. And it is official. Josh Simmons is the starting left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid didn't say those words in that order, but we'll hear from Big Red. We'll hear what he had to say after practice today up in St. Joe. And he makes it very clear. And nobody else taking first-team left tackle reps. And if Josh Simmons is taking all the first-team tackle reps, guess what? He's the first-team left tackle. Remarkable that it has worked out so far in the absolute best case scenario for the Chiefs with regards to taking a chance on Josh Simmons with the number 32 overall pick this April in the NFL draft. So we will talk about that. We'll also hear from Josh Simmons. He did speak to the media today, so we'll hear from the left tackle of the Kansas City Chiefs, the rookie starting left tackle, Josh Simmons. And we'll hear from Andy Reid as well. A couple other guys I want to talk about today. Drue Tranquill went off the practice field with a back injury today. Nobody seemed super concerned about it, so not necessarily expecting that it's a long-term deal for Drue Tranquill, at least not right off, not anything to be immediately concerned about. But it did get me to thinking about the linebacker spot and a different player at that position who I'm wondering if we ought to maybe see some more of in 2025. We'll talk about that. Also, I have been promising you that we would get to some more fun players to talk about on our Chiefs Countdown to Kickoff. We would get beyond the 40s and 30s. We would get beyond practice squad candidates and UDFAs at defensive back and tight end. And we would get past the last 2 days, which are two of the most tragic stories in Chiefs history, in Joe Delaney and Mac Lee Hill. We've arrived at 35 days, and we got a starter. A bona fide starting player for the Kansas City Chiefs on the Countdown to Kickoff today. That's Jaylen Watson. We're going to talk about Jaylen Watson, and we're going to talk about the Chiefs secondary. Is it maybe underrated? We'll get there. We'll get there later on in the show today. Two great guests today, both of them Chiefs related. Bottom of this hour, Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. He's our boots on the ground in St. Joe. We'll get Matt's thoughts on this last week of practice, everything that has transpired. Also, at 5:15 today, 10 minutes earlier than usual, because, again, we are off the air at 5:30 today. 5:15 today, our fifth training camp report with Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, presented by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Mitch will join us at 5:15 today, so 10 minutes earlier than we've had him on when we've had more show to work with. Mitch gracious enough to move his time up 10 minutes, so we'll talk to Mitch at 5:15 today. Today we focus on Trent McDuffie, speaking of defensive backs. So all that, plus your regular Friday goodness here on 580 Sports Talk. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines. A little change my mind, a little on second thought. Start a new month of What Is Wrong With You. Today's winner is going to go straight to the end of the month as one of your short week champs that goes in the play-in game. So what is wrong with you? Some high stakes for What Is Wrong With You today. And, of course, your interaction with the show. Want to hear from you as we go along today. Hit us up on the text line, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Can also interact with us on the YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is where we are broadcasting live. The name of the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. We got 2 new subscribers yesterday. We've been averaging 1 a day, really for close to the last month. Who is it going to be today? Is it going to be you? Why not? Doesn't cost you a thing but a click. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. And remember, when we get to 800, Brendan and I are going to arm wrestle live on 580 Sports Talk on camera on the YouTube stream. So you won't want to miss that. Go ahead and subscribe. And when you are watching the show on YouTube, there is a live chat that you can jump in and interact with us, your hosts, and your fellow listeners as well. It's great to see Vance, Mark H., Andrew, and Christopher in the chat today. Look forward to hearing from more of you as we go along today. The Kansas City Royals, in case you missed it, to once again sum up their trade deadline haul, they sent out their backup catcher, Freddie Fermin, and they sent out a handful of prospects. They traded away Evan Sisk, probably the most notable of the prospects in the sense that he had appeared in a major league game for the Royals, a left-handed reliever. Also first baseman Callan Moss and right-handed pitcher Junior Marte, a 21-year-old in A-ball. In return, the Royals received 3 pitchers and an outfielder. Stephen Kolek and Ryan Bergert, pair of right-handers from the Padres, left-hander Bailey Falter from the Pirates, and right fielder Mike Yastrzemski from the Giants. Again, Yastrzemski is in the lineup tonight for the Royals when they take on the Blue Jays in Game 1 of their series. I would give the Royals a C plus, maybe a B minus for their trade deadline work. And maybe you think that's a bit harsh because, like I said yesterday, JJ Piccolo accomplished what it was that he very clearly wanted to accomplish at this trade deadline. They had to add controllable pitching depth with minor league options, and they did that. And they had to add an offensive upgrade in the outfield, and they did that. They did. They accomplished what they set out to accomplish at yesterday's trade deadline. They did the business that they wanted to do. Did they do it in spectacular fashion? Did they go and get a needle mover? I would say no. I would reserve my high B's and A grades for teams that significantly improve their playoff chances. I think the Royals have a better chance moving forward with the players they acquired than they would have if they'd done nothing. So in a technical sense, in a matter of speaking, yes, the Royals did improve their chances, but I think that these were more about raising the floor of the current team and being able to have some pieces, some additional arms on hand for 2026 and beyond than it did raise the ceiling of this team's performance. So that's why I give him the grade I give him. C plus, B minus. Look, C pluses get degrees. C plus is we did what we had to do. We did what we had to do. And that's what the Royals did. They did what they had to do. They did not go and get a frontline starting pitcher or a middle of the order bat to help put them, if not over the top, at least closer to the top. But go look at who got traded yesterday. The frontline starters didn't move. The best starting pitcher that moved yesterday was probably Merrill Kelly. And Merrill Kelly's decent, but that's not a frontline, I want him to start 2 games in a best-of-5 playoff series kind of arm, like a Sandy Alcantara at his best is, or has been, and like a Dylan Cease is, or like a Mackenzie Gore is. Those guys didn't move. It was back-end guys. It was Mike Sorokas and, well, Bailey Falters. Those were the kinds of guys. Those are the kinds of starting pitchers that moved yesterday. And as far as middle-of-the-order bats go, other than Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, whom the Mariners got, where were the other impactful lineup-changing bats that got moved? You want to argue Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano are that? They've performed a little like that for the Orioles this year. Both of them went to San Diego in the same deal. Cedric Mullins hasn't had a great year. He went to the Mets, but he might be more famous than good, at least at present. Obviously, Carlos Correa, but he's been below average with the stick this year and starting to show his age a little bit. Houston also got Jesus Sanchez and Ramon Urias. Both of them have been below average hitters this year. In fact, Mike Yastrzemski has been more productive offensively per OPS plus than all 3 of the guys that Houston picked up. So that bat, that lineup changer for the Royals, that wasn't out there either. And to the extent that players like that were available, it's like I talked about throughout the week leading up to the trade deadline, the Royals just didn't have enough farm system depth to go and put together an offer that would have been appealing. If the asking price was too high for guys like Dylan Cease, let's say, or Stephen Kwan, to put him out there, that's not a heavy middle of the order bat, but that's a lineup changing bat at the top of the order. If the asking price for those guys was too high, the Royals weren't going to be able to meet it with what they have in their system. So given the resources the Royals had available, given the kinds of players that actually moved at this trade deadline, I think the Royals did fine. Unspectacular, but solid. Smart. Savvy. Showing a vision. But not spectacular. That's why my grade, such to the extent that matters, is leaning toward C plus, B minus. So now the Royals move forward with their roster. And like I said, I don't think the Royals increased their ceiling over the trades that they made. I think they raised their floor. They're not going to have to lean on the Rich Hills and Dallas Keuchels and bullpen games to get them through while they wait for Michael Lorenzen and hopefully Cole Reagans to return to the starting rotation. That's floor-raising stuff, but it's not really ceiling-raising stuff. I thought the teams that made the most effort to raise their ceilings were probably the two AL West teams, Houston and Seattle. Seattle rebuilt the middle of their order and the corners of their infield with a pair of Diamondbacks, Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez. They were aggressive. Houston put together a new left side of their infield while they wait for their current one full of all-stars to get healthy again. So I really like what Houston and Seattle did. I don't think they did all that they needed to do to be like the clear American League favorite. That's the other thing. I have no idea who the clear American League favorite is. And I don't think any of the teams that would like to be able to make that claim raised their ceilings substantially with their dealings. The Yankees raised their floor by volume. They went and got a bunch of relief arms, a couple of intriguing ones, Camilo Doval and David Bednar, both of whom have been good in the closer role for their respective teams this season. Yankees also upgraded substantially at third base with Ryan McMahon, though that's more about how bad third base was than about how good McMahon is. Really, it's kind of the same principle behind the Royals acquiring Mike Yastrzemski. It's not that Yastrzemski is so great. It's that what he's replacing was so bad that he looks even better in comparison. Yankees also got a plug-and-play utility guy with Jose Caballero. I really liked their deadline. Again, I'm not sure it was ceiling raising, but I thought it raised their floor pretty substantially, and I like what they did. I still think they're going to catch Toronto and win the East. As long as they don't miss Aaron Judge for any longer than they're expecting, I still think they're going to catch Toronto and win the East. The Tigers acted like a team with a 9-game division lead. Not a lot of urgency from them. Charlie Morton's a fine pickup. Their relief arms that they added, Kyle Finnegan, they're fine. Like, they were fine. But again, you're not really raising ceiling with 95-year-old Charlie Morton. Cleveland didn't add. The Rays were weird and added and subtracted as they just kind of tread water. The Angels pretended to add. They got 2 relievers and a utility infielder from the Yankees. Good for them. That's cute. They'll finish 15 games back. Forget about the Angels. The Red Sox, well, Steven Matz gets lefties out, and Dustin May at least hasn't gotten hurt again this year, but they had a very disappointing deadline, I thought. And even Toronto, the American League East leaders, they come in today 3.5 up in the East. I like what they did with their bullpen. Sir Anthony Dominguez and Louis Varland are upgrades. They add some versatility and a royal killer in Ty France, who is, unfortunately for the Royals, in the lineup tonight. And they took a big swing with the acquisition of Shane Bieber, who hasn't pitched in a major league game since April of last year. If that pans out, that looks great for them. It may not. He's an older pitcher coming off of Tommy John. And I save the Red Sox and Blue Jays for last because those are the next 2 teams the Royals face, and they've both been hot. The Jays are 38-18 in their last 56 games. And that's even with a 4-game losing streak that they just snapped with a win on Wednesday. Boston in that same time frame, which is basically since Memorial Day, 32-21. And surprisingly, since they made the Rafael Devers trade that felt at the time like white flag-ish, or at least that it was going to be really harmful to their chances of competing, they're 22-15 since they traded the guy who was their best hitter. And both teams really good at home. Toronto is 37-17 at the Skydome. I know they don't call it the Skydome anymore. It's Rogers Center or whatever. I like Skydome better. Boston's 34-21 at Fenway Park. 2 really good home teams. I say that to say this is a tough stretch for the Royals. And there are times in your schedule to make a run, and there are times when treading water will do. This is the last tread water stage of the Royals schedule because after these 6 games, the Royals play just 15 more games against teams who are in playoff position as of today. And if you want to stretch and count Texas, who's only half a game out because they didn't play yesterday, if you want to include the 4-game series with Texas later this month at the K, call it 19 games. The Royals played 109 games, meaning they've got 53 remaining and only 19 against teams in playoff position or close, within half a game. And only 6 of those games are away from Kauffman Stadium. Only 6 of those remaining, and again, call it 47 after these 6 this weekend against Toronto and Boston. Only 6 more games away from home against playoff teams after this weekend. So the rest of the schedule, if the Royals can tread some water here, is very favorable. It got more favorable with Minnesota running up the white flag, with Cleveland running up the white flag, with the A's, the last team the Royals play this year, trading their closer and one of their better starting pitchers. That'll be a Cancun on 3 series for the A's when the Royals get there, if they can make it mean something to them. So this is a stretch where treading water will suffice. 3-3 the next 6, that's livable. 4-2 or better, that's a statement. A little bit more Royals after we take our first break here on 580 Sports Talk. Where exactly do the new guys fit in for the rest of 2025? We'll talk about it. Then later on this hour, Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com going to join us in about 10 minutes for our Chiefs Insider segment. Mitch Holthus joins us at 5:15 today. We're off early at 5:30. We're going to hear from Andy Reid. We're going to hear from Josh Simmons from Chiefs Camp earlier today. We are jam-packed today. Lots more football to get to, a little more baseball here. We're so glad you're with us on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Royals baseball tonight at 5:30 pregame coverage. 6:07 the first pitch in Toronto tonight, opening up that 3-game series against the Blue Jays. The lineup is already out, and I just have to say how much better this lineup looks 1 through 7 than just about any the Royals have put out this season, with Jonathan India leading off at second, then Bobby Witt Jr. at short, Vinny Pasquantino at first, Maikel Garcia at third, batting cleanup, Salvador Perez behind the plate. Mike Yastrzemski's the new guy. He's in right field batting sixth. Randall Grichuk will DH batting seventh. I think big picture, certainly when Jack Caglione comes back, I would like to see Yastrzemski and Grichuk in more of a strict platoon. Yastrzemski struggles against lefties. Grichuk hammers lefties. Grichuk is just whatever against righties. Yastrzemski does his best work against righties. That feels to me like a natural platoon once Jack Caglione comes back, if you're willing to get Cags back in the order and live with the struggles that he was going through. There's no timetable right now for Cags' return either. We may be till September, if at all, that you get Caglione back. So maybe you play them both, but having those two at 6-7 in the order rather than crossing your fingers on some Nick Lofton and John Rave, that feels much better. Those are professional hitters. Those are veterans. That's going to help the lineup look a lot better. Adam Frazier bats eighth tonight in left field. Kyle Isbell is the center fielder, batting ninth behind Michael Wacha on the bump tonight. We'll get back to the pitchers in just a second. The roster moves that the Royals made today. Yastrzemski added to the active roster via the trade, and Nick Lofton today was reinstated from the 7-day IL, the concussion injured list. To make some space on the 26-man roster, MJ Melendez was optioned down to AAA Omaha. Stephen Kolek, who was acquired from San Diego, was also optioned to AAA Omaha today. Chris Bubich moved from the 40-man roster to the 60-day injured list. That cleared a 40-man roster spot, as did designating outfielder Joey Wiemer for assignment. And if you're asking yourself, wait a minute, who's that? Wiemer was the other player in the Jonathan India for Brady Singer deal, a minor league center fielder, had a cup of coffee in the bigs with Milwaukee and then Cincinnati. I thought he had a chance with his big power and speed to win a big league job. He didn't hit in the spring, and then in Omaha, he has continued not hitting. And I don't know that anybody's going to claim him. So I think the Royals will probably be able to keep him in the organization, although the fact that they're DFAing him kind of tells you what has happened to Joey Wiemer. So those are the roster moves for tonight's game. And go ahead and, blow your kazoos and pop your champagne for MJ Melendez being optioned down. You don't have to watch him hit tonight. There are still two other players that need to be added to the 40-man roster that have not yet. Ryan Bergert, the other pitcher coming over from San Diego, and Bailey Falter, who's coming over from Pittsburgh. They have not yet been added to the 40-man roster. There is space for both of them to be added to the 40-man. The Royals will probably send down, I would imagine, Jonathan Bolin, and the guess here is Thomas Hatch will be optioned or designated for assignment, whichever the Royals need to do. If they can option him, they'll option him. If they can't, they'll DFA him. And so that'll make room for those two guys on the pitching staff. I kind of thought Kolek would make a start. The Royals have their rotation lined up with Michael Wacha going on extra rest today, Noah Cameron going on extra rest tomorrow, and Seth Lugo on regular rest for Sunday. He'll just make his regular turn after 4 days of rest. You can do that with a veteran like Lugo. He pitched Tuesday. He's going to be ready to go on Monday. Then they need starters Monday and Tuesday in Boston. Kolek started Sunday for San Diego. Bergert and Falter both started Tuesday for their respective former teams. So I thought with the extra rest, they'd go with Kolek on Monday. And they still could. They could still promote him from AAA and send somebody down. But I thought they might go Kolek Monday and then Falter Tuesday. Falter's I would call him the best of the bunch, and give Falter an extra day of rest before you get him back in the rotation. So I think that's how the Royals are going to go. They're going to go with Wacha, Cameron, Lugo in the order that you will have them presented this weekend. And then I think they'll go with Kolek and Falter, or maybe Falter and Bergert, and Kolek is somebody they view as a AAA guy right now, or they want him to work on some things at AAA. But doesn't that sound a lot better than Waka, Cameron, and Lugo, and then you got to go to Fenway Park with Dallas Keuchel and a shrug of the shoulders. Yeah, that's why you make the moves you make. And doesn't that lineup sound a hell of a lot better with a couple of professional hitters in there at 6 and 7 rather than holding your breath for another good John Rave game? I know it does to me. We'll take a break, come back. Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, joins us next on 580 Sports Talk. We go to Kansas City and the great Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He is our Chiefs insider joining us on 580 Sports Talk and the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline as he does every Friday at this time. Matt, still no dice on getting to camp in St. Joe before any of the players. Harrison Butker hop off a plane from D.C. and still beat you to practice.
Yeah, right now, Mr. Butt Kicker is just absolutely kicking my butt. I can't seem to put a dent in him, and I can't imagine that any other player has beaten him for the practice fields this year. And the amazing thing is he's even dragging his teammates down, his other specialists. So Matt Ariza and James Winchester, I think, were 2 and 3 today. So even though he's down there, I was there at 8 o'clock this morning, could not beat him for a 9:15 practice. So tomorrow I'm going to try and up my game. I don't know. If I can't pull it off tomorrow, I may just forfeit, but I want one win, Dan. I'm not going to lie. I just want one win.
Who had the best day today? It was off of an off day. The pads were back on, more team drill stuff. Who in your mind had the best day today out there in St. Joe?
Really good question, because it was a tough day because there was a lot of third down periods. The offense, at least the first team offense, for instance, their best period was in the minute and a half drill. Had to go down the length of the field to try and get a touchdown. And the first team offense did a pretty efficient drives. Almost scored too early, but finally punched it in with 4 seconds left. Good question. I mean, I would probably say you'd have to go with somebody on the defensive side. And again, it was a pretty good team effort. Tell you what, the most dynamic play of the day I saw from anybody, and there were some interceptions here and there, but we got to see the Chris Jones rule invoked today, where Chris Jones just so badly mismanages and takes over an offensive lineman that he just stops pursuing the quarterback because he's not allowed to. We saw one of those, and it was pretty comical because Chris just kind of absolutely beat and honestly, it looked like he'd gone through Creed and Trey in that side of the line. I mean, he may have gotten some Jaylen Moore involvement too, but looked like he went through that side of the line, and then just once he got past those guys, he just kind of stood there with his arms in the air. Didn't really do anything to Mahomes, although Mahomes decided he was going to try and make us something with the play anyway and ran away from Chris. And what he ended up doing was running into Kareem Hunt, who had a really good form tackle on him, basically. It just kind of wrapped up Mahomes and was like, Pat, play's over. Don't worry.
Matt Derrick is our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Well, Matt, Andy Reid said it without saying it today, but there is no left tackle competition any longer. If there ever was one when camp began, it is surely over now. Josh Simmons is the guy. When you listen to Andy Reid talk about him, and you heard Josh Simmons also speak earlier today, we're going to play some of that audio later here on 580 Sports Talk. What stood out about the way that the coaches have talked about Simmons and the way that Josh maybe has talked about his own health and his own acclimation to the speed of an NFL training camp?
Yeah, the crazy thing is that if you just listen to Andy Reid talk about Josh Simmons, and he speaks of him obviously in some pretty glowing terms, he's the one that's trying to tap the brakes the most on just making sure that you're not putting too much pressure on this kid. But the reality of it is that he is so far ahead of progress that this team ever expected. He's passed every test. I was having a conversation today with somebody in the organization that was just remembering, going back to the draft and before rookie minicamp, and their thought was, hey, you know what? If Josh Simmons can get on the field maybe second week at training camp, that'll be great. And, and then we'll see what he's got. And, probably won't play much this year, but we'll see what happens. And not only did he just be out there for most of OTAs and now hit the ground running at camp, it's hard to contain the enthusiasm. I mean, I think Matt Nagy this week said sky's the limit for him, and that just seems to be the attitude behind the scenes. And Andy Reid, to his credit, is trying to, I think, tap the brakes a little bit just so there's not so much pressure on Josh Simmons. But I don't even know if you can put pressure on Josh Simmons because he just seems to be a pretty cool cat with the whole thing, just kind of taking everything in stride. I also heard a story today that on the off day on yesterday, somebody was going into the building, and the only player in the building yesterday was Josh Simmons. He was back in Kansas City doing work. That's just remarkable, but that's just kind of the story so far you're hearing about Josh Simmons.
Jaylen Moore was signed before the NFL draft with the idea that he might get a crack at left tackle. And then with Simmons falling into the Chiefs' lap, obviously their plans changed a little bit. So we've seen some of Jaylen Moore at right tackle. He got a jump there, obviously, with Juwan Taylor starting on the PUP list. We've seen him some at left guard. What do you make of Jaylen Moore? When you've gotten a chance to see him in the open practice periods, what has been your evaluation of him? And is he in a spot where he could potentially compete at one of those two positions he's been repping at more often?
It's a really good question. And I think that probably the best way to probably put it right now is that I don't think he's competition at either left guard which is really the only semi-competitive job that's open. I mean, I'm not even sure that one's really open because first guy taking snaps every single day is Kingsley Suamataia. And it certainly seems to be still his job to lose, which haven't really seen the evidence that he's going to lose it. But that's at least the one that's most competitive. People ask about right tackle, but it's not open. I mean, Jawan Taylor, if healthy, is going to be the right tackle. And a lot of it has just been trying to get Jaylen more up to speed. I mean, one part of it for sure, Dan, is that, I mean, the Chiefs kind of know that if everything goes as they have it planned right now, Jaylen Moore's going to be their right tackle in 2026. So they kind of want to get him up to speed for that. He hasn't played right tackle in, I think, 4 years. So they're wanting to get him as many snaps as they can there. So as Jawan Taylor's needed time to ramp up, they're getting him in there. And they've been getting him in with a little bit of mixing in at left guard as well. I think mostly just because they want options if Kingsley falters. If Kingsley isn't the guy this year and they kind of have to go through the same thing that they did last year, maybe they're like, okay, things look good in camp, but once you get to the preseason games, what if things start to go south? I think they just want options. Either it could be more, it could be somebody more experienced like Hunter Norzad, which I've told that he has taken a nice step forward this year. Mike Caliendo, which I think you know what you get from Mike, but I think those two other guys would be options too. But they know that, hey, those are going to be your three backup offensive linemen. And if they can play multiple positions, and especially Jaylen Moore, I mean, if he can play 3 or 4 different spots, that just gives you more flexibility with him.
Matt Derrick is our guest here on 580 Sports Talk. He is our Chiefs insider. Check out his work at ChiefsDigest.com. Find him across all manner of social media at Matt Derrick. Matt, there was a thought for at least the start of camp, like there might be a competition at punter. Eddie Zeplicki was signed as an undrafted free agent, kept on the 90-man roster, but it becomes a numbers game. When you start losing guys to injury, you need camp bodies, and one of the easiest spots at which you can let a player go would be at punter. So Zeplicki no longer on the 90, and it looks like it is Matt Araiza who will be the punter for a second straight year. We talked about the ups and downs that Araiza had as a rookie. Does it look to you like he, A, had the edge pretty clearly on Zeplicki in camp, and B, might be trying to work on adding a bit of finesse to a punting game that we already know has the big booming power leg?
Yes and yes, I think the answer to all those questions. It became increasingly clear that Araiza was probably going to win this job because exactly what you said, that the Chiefs had some very specific areas where they wanted him to improve. They wanted him to improve his hang time. They wanted him to improve his touch as far as just making sure he's not out kicking his coverage, and that he's also, when he's pooch punting, that he's getting nice touch inside the 10 and giving his team, his Gunners, a chance to down the football inside the 10. And they also wanted him to, because he's a left-footed punter, they wanted him to have more comfort kicking to his left. They felt like last year that he was so skittish about slicing one off the side of his foot and pushing it too far left that he just didn't kick left. And therefore, there was a lot of predictability that he was punting right a lot, and just teams knew that and were taking advantage of that. So those are the 3 areas that they wanted him to improve. And having competition in camp seemed to have done that, because they felt like they've seen improvement in all 3 of those areas. And Eddie Zeplicki, he was a good punter. He's absolutely going to kick somewhere in this league this year. And if Matt Araiza gets banged up, or if he starts to struggle, it could be back in Kansas City. He's a legit punter. But I asked Dave Tobe about this earlier this week, just, how much did the 2-year layoff of not punting competitively affect those elements of Matt Araiza's game? And I think you saw a lot of that last year, was just rustiness. So he looked like a different punter this year. I thought both in OTAs and camp, but I thought there was even a jump from OTAs to camp as far as just how much that he kind of zeroed in at the competition. I think absolutely helped.
At running back, is there any reading of tea leaves to be done based on the order in which guys take snaps, or the way in which certain running backs are used in certain personnel groups or with certain personnel groups in camp? Or do you feel like that's the kind of thing that is still pretty wide open behind Isaiah Pacheco, who enters as the presumptive starter there at running back?
Yeah, I think there's some roles that are kind of nailed down. Like you said, I mean, Pacheco's going to be the starter, and if he's healthy, he's going to get the bulk of the work, and he's the guy that they feel like is their most overall well-rounded runner at this point. The tough yards, the short yardage yards, the goal line yards probably might be a little bit more Kareem Hunt. That's kind of his forte. There's no explosion anymore in Kareem. You know that. He's just kind of a power guy at this point in his career. And Isaiah even lacks maybe the explosion that they would truly want, which then begs the question, can Elijah Mitchell or Brashard Smith provide that? And Mitchell is probably still a little bit of a work in progress. I don't know if he's completely 100% back to the health that you saw from him as a rookie, as an explosive runner. He may still be working back a little bit. And Brashard Smith he's an electric runner. There is no doubt about that. He just still has a lot to learn about the running back position. He is a smooth receiver, though. So anytime they put him in the backfield or they have an opportunity to split him out wide, he can be an absolute mismatch. The question to me is, who's the third down back on this team? I think Brashard Smith has the best skill set. It's just that he's never blocked anybody, and I don't know that that's going to be something he's going to be able to do as a rookie. That might just be too much for him to learn. Can Elijah Mitchell handle that? I think that's also kind of maybe a work in progress. I think the scary thing is that Kareem Hunt might be their best third down back. He just doesn't have the explosion that you would like. He doesn't have the electricity of a Jerick McKinnon or anything. So I don't know that they have a true third down back right now. And I think some of their success is going to come from whether Elijah Mitchell, as maybe the third back, can bring some of that electricity. He can kind of rekindle what he had in San Francisco, or as the kind of fourth running back, that Brashard Smith can kind of start putting together the elements of being a running back and kind of learn to trade a little bit more. And if he can do that, maybe he can be the guy.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com. It's a must-read to keep track of what's happening at training camp in St. Joe and throughout the Chiefs season. He joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline every Friday at this time. He is our Chiefs insider. Matt, we're previewing a preseason game when we talk next week. Oh, my God.
It's going to be pretty exciting, isn't it?
It is. I'm starting to tremble with anticipation. Matt, it's always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds great, Dan. Take care, my friend.
That is Matt Derrick. We will step aside for a timeout here on 580 Sports Talk. Come back with an on second thought to wrap up this first hour of the program. So on second thought, I didn't have a great read on the Major League Baseball trade deadline. It kind of felt like it might be pretty quiet, and then it erupted over the last couple of hours of yesterday. But it didn't quite erupt in the way I anticipated. There was a lot of relief pitcher movement. Apparently, that was what was in demand. And it's a funny thing. Teams love to fortify their bullpens, right? Like the Royals did that last year, right? And that helped them. There's no question. They were improved by the presence of Lucas Erceg and briefly Hunter Harvey. But like the Erceg deal most notably really helped their bullpen. And we have seen bullpens carry teams in October to at least the brink of, if not all the way over the top, to win a championship. But also, you get a reliever at this stage, you're getting them for what? 25, 30 innings in the regular season? 25, 30 innings of work? Those could be exceptional, but these are relief pitchers we're talking about here. And we're not talking about like the Mariano Rivera types who are always good. We're talking about guys who could be a little flaky. Because if they were really good pitchers, they'd still be starters. I've said it over and over again. So they're risky. They are risky. There is no guarantee Yohan Duran is going to dominate in Philadelphia or that Mason Miller is going to be awesome in San Diego. There are no guarantees, but that was the way the market unfolded. I thought we'd see more starting pitching than relief pitching at the deadline. So wrong on both counts, it would appear. Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, more from Cheese Camp. We'll hear from Andy Reid and Josh Simmons, and we'll do What Is Wrong With You. That's coming up. Stay with us. 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it, 580 Sports Talk, hour number 2 on this happy Friday edition on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you until 5:30. We're getting an early jump on our weekend and passing the baton to the Royals Baseball Network at 5:30. Pre-game coverage from north of the border in Toronto. So Royals and Blue Jays open up a 3-game set tonight. Michael Wacha, Kevin Gausman, the scheduled starting pitchers. First pitch at 6:07 tonight. So we'll have pregame coverage at 5:30, which means we've only got an hour and a half left to hang out with you on this Friday. Plenty of football talk still to come. We got our continuation of our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. Got some audio from St. Joe today. Going to hear from Andy Reid and Josh Simmons, who, in case it was unclear, he's your left tackle. Make no bones about it, and Andy Reid is not. He is the guy at left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll hear from him. We'll also hear from Andy Reid here in just a little bit. We will have a round of What Is Wrong With You coming up later this hour. We will have a training camp report with Mitch Holthus coming up at 5:15. Usually we do them at 5:25, but only 5 minutes with Mitch seems kind of cruel. We can't do that. So we asked Mitch, hey, can we move you up 10 minutes? And he was gracious enough to agree. So we'll talk to Mitch at 5:15 this afternoon for yet another training camp report presented by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Want to hear from you on the program today. Hit us up on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the number. That is 785-272-9429. Also, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, jump in that live chat. Interact with us. Interact with your fellow listeners as we go along today. And if you're not watching on the YouTube, why not? You want to stay inside. The air quality is terrible out there today. And the wildfires in Canada creating the conditions that I can tell you this. I woke up this morning wondering why my allergies were bothering me the way they were. I was like, man, did the cat sit on my face for 7 hours while I slept last night? Like, what is going on? And then I saw where that's where the air quality had diminished, and that was bothering the hell out of me this morning. I'll tell you what, though, at least you don't live in Chicago. They have the worst air quality in the world right now.
Jeez.
In the world.
And they got like a zillion people in town.
Yeah, Lollapalooza's this weekend. Yes, big music festival. Yeah, not a great time.
Nope.
Usually, they've got a different kind of pungent quality in the air at Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
That people maybe enjoy a little more than the residual effects of the Canadian wildfires. But hey, yeah, you're indoors perhaps because the smoke, the haze doesn't treat your allergies very well if you're anything like me and Spencer here. So if you're indoors today, you're at a computer or you're holding your phone or your tablet, why don't you watch us on the YouTube channel? Jump into YouTube, jump in the chat. It's a fun time. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. You can watch all of our back episodes of the show, see the fits that we're getting off, all of our shenanigans that we get up to on the YouTube channel. And yeah, we want to hear from you in the YouTube chat. So hop on in. We appreciate those of you who join and to make it a really fun community over there. We love reading your comments, even if we don't put every one of them on the screen or read every one of them aloud. We love seeing you guys interact with each other. We love to interact with you guys throughout the day in that YouTube chat. So hop on in. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. So the big news of the item of the day coming out of Kansas City Chiefs camp, there are two of them. One of them is when Drew Tranquill got dinged up, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the other thing, and you're going to hear Andy Reid talk about it because we're going to play his audio here in just a second. But Josh Simmons is getting all of the first team reps at left tackle moving forward. He's not going to be rotating with Jalen Moore or Wanye Morris or anything like that. Simmons is getting all the reps, and he's going to continue to get all the reps, which means he's a starter. He is as much of a starter on that offensive line as Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. There is no competition at left tackle. And you want to talk about rolling sevens from April to now. with Josh Simmons, with the left tackle position for the Chiefs. Now an overqualified and maybe overpaid, but certainly overqualified swing tackle in Jaylen Moore to back up. But the Chiefs went into the draft. None of us was entirely sure Simmons was the right pick. There were some other left tackles that were available at 32 overall who were not coming off of torn patella tendons. There were other players at other positions of need that you certainly could have talked us into as the Chiefs handed in the draft card at 32 after trading back a pick from number 31. But Josh Simmons always had the big ability. The question was his recovery from injury. And even when the Chiefs handed in that draft card to take Josh Simmons, well, okay, you've got this talent, but it's such a devastating injury, particularly for a big man. How is he going to recover? How ready is he going to be for his first NFL training camp? Did you just take a guy that you are not expecting to see the field in 2025? Did you just take a chance on a big swing with the possibility that it could wind up a swing and a miss, at least for the short term? But the Chiefs have rolled sevens with this. Simmons has recovered so well from this knee injury. He was able to work in rookie camp, able to work in mini camp. He's had no restrictions, no limitations in training camp, and he is full steam ahead as if he had been a perfectly healthy top 10 overall pick in the draft. You don't typically start a left tackle who's a rookie with this much anticipation as the Chiefs are doing with regards to Josh Simmons. So credit to the Chiefs medical staff, credit to Josh Simmons for working his tail off to get back and get his body right and get his knee right. And Chiefs might really have a special one here. They really, really might. Let's hear what Andy Reid had to say about him, what he had to say about everybody else. And you'll want to listen to the end of this because he gets off a very funny line in the end about Rashee Rice. So this is Andy Reid from earlier today in St. Joe.
As far as the injuries go, we had Jake Bringenstool still out, Marquise Brown out, Deion Bush is out, Kristen Fulton's out, Sky Moore was out. And then Tranquil hurt his back. So he just strained his back a little bit, and it was really almost a non-contact thing. So we'll just get him taken care of. Let's see who else I can tell you about. Xavier Worthy. So Xavier's it ended up not being a concussion. We had both the NFL involved with the clearing and our docs, and he's got a little liquid. He had a little liquid in his ear, and they took care of that, and it was throwing his equilibrium off just a bit. So that's a positive thing. But other than that, the guys have worked hard, done a nice job. Today they caught a break with the weather, nice and cool for them, and they were flying around. And it was good to see both sides of the ball making plays, great competition going on. When you do that, you're going to start improving, man. That's the objective in this thing, get better, a little bit better every day. So that time's yours.
You sense a better energy when the temperatures are like this?
Well, yeah. I mean, you guys are, you're more lively. There is. I mean, yeah, you know how it goes. I mean, when it's hot, you're pushing through. That's a tough thing, but being out there 2.5 hours or so, and the sun and heat, and it can be a little rough. Practice is rough, anyways. Now that you add the heat into it, and it's even tougher. Yeah.
Andy, I know you love describing yourself as a teacher. Just what are you trying to teach Kingsley day after day? Just knowing that he's going up against Chris, obviously. One of the best defensive tackles.
Yeah, that's gonna make you great, right? So every day you can get better, and he's doing that. He's battling. They talk. He and Chris talk. Chris got a ton of respect for him. He knows how good he is, and so they work it. And then they were going back and forth today. He had some good ones. Chris had some good. Well, they're getting better. That makes each other better. Competition.
Coach, you got guys rotating on the offensive line. What does that do for you when you can see guys playing different positions?
Yeah, it gives you flexibility. So if somebody gets hurt, you plug a guy in. You only can adjust so many on game day. So you want to make sure you got some guys that can kind of move around a little bit, whether it's a guard playing center center playing guard, tackle playing guard. If you're lucky enough, you might get one that plays all three. So all three spots.
Going back to Kingsley, when he has the rookie year he did, and he has to get pulled off the field, I just wonder how much of it's just trying to rebuild his confidence, or do you feel like he was already there?
Yeah, he's been on a mission since he got back. I mean, he's been pretty focused in on that. I think he likes that spot, and he's sure taken to it well. And he's willing to work. That's never been his issue, man. He comes out and he works his tail off. So we've been happy with what we see. We've got to keep going, but powerful kid.
What have you learned so far about Josh Simmons now we've gotten to this portion of the offseason?
Yeah, first of all, he's getting a lot of reps, which I think is important for a rookie. So he's been in there and consistently showing up every day and working, and not taking plays off or any of that. But he's a worker. I mean, he's willing to do it. It's just a matter of you got to keep on going. But he's done a nice job with what we've asked him. He's working on all the fundamentals and techniques. So that's a challenge for him.
Nico Remigio, we're about to catch up with. Just that battle there with the long receivers trying to make the roster. What do you see out of the competitive nature of those guys, and how impressive you've been with some of those guys at the bottom?
Yeah, Remigio, he's very competitive. Yeah. So, and they're all competing like crazy for 6 or 7 spots is what you're looking at. So they're in there battling their tail off to make one of those positions, and Remigio's doing that. I know you know him, and you know how competitive a kid he is. Everything he does, he's competitive. So now he has that punt return thing that goes into his favor, but we've got some other guys that are fighting for that too, that spot.
When you get down to those final decisions, how much of it ends up being, hey, this player's going to make the team because they play this position, and then they can do special teams? How much of there is also, wait a minute, this kid is a good special teams player. He needs to make the team.
Yeah, so I tell the guys that, that some of the guys are going to make it because of special teams. Every year you get 1 or 2 guys that are on your team because of special teams, and maybe they lack a little bit compared to somebody else in the position, but they just excel on special teams. So Tobe can have develop a core group in there, 4 phases is what he'll say. So you want to find those guys and try to keep them if you can.
Coach, speaking of special teams, have you got a handle personally on the new kickoff rules, and how do you think it's going to affect things?
Yeah, I was checking that out yesterday in that game, and it's going to be interesting. There's some things. If your kicker can place the ball on kickoffs, man, you're asking a lot of those fielders there, and it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it all works. But curious to see. We're fortunate to have Bucker. I think when it comes to this type of thing.
And I'm sure you were relieved with the Xavier thing that it was only this. Can you say for the last couple of days trying to figure out exactly what was going on?
Yeah, no, listen, he wanted to get back in. He kept saying, I don't feel like I have a concussion. But you got to go through the protocol of it. And so, then they got him up there and examined him, and, it was what I said. So with the liquid in the ear, but I know that can throw you off balance, and that's where he was at. But he was convinced he didn't have one all along. But that's all right. I mean, we were cautious with it, and we're always going to do that.
Obviously, good news for you guys with receivers since you were down a few to get them back immediately.
Yeah, you want numbers at that spot. You need legs, and we play a lot of those guys 3 at a time normally. So you need all the legs to get through practice.
And what kind of role are you seeing from Rasheed Rice in this camp, in and off the field?
Yeah, well, he's doing a nice job. He's done a nice job off the field. He's doing a nice job on the field. He's sometimes you learn from your mistakes. That's the important part. So all of that, and then on the field, he's just been full speed ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
No pun intended.
Andy Reid got jokes.
He really does.
Andy Reid had jokes. Full speed ahead for Rasheed Rice. No pun intended. Great line there at the end. Andy Reid in a good mood, in a jovial mood. He almost never answers that many questions, spends that long with the media at a training camp.
Yeah,
press
because he talks,
availability.
twice a week during training camp?
Twice,
I think?
sometimes 3 times.
Yeah, so usually it's like, hey, the first
Yeah.
couple, you get about 3 to 5 minutes
Yeah.
at most.
Yeah.
And then the next day, it's like maybe 90 seconds to 3 minutes.
No, that was lengthy. Good stuff in there about
Yeah.
Kingsley Suamataia. Sounds really encouraged about how he's progressed at
Swing
left guard.
swinging the offensive line in general.
Yeah. Feeling good about the O-line. And again, big reason for that has been Josh Simmons and his performance. And the big rookie spoke to the media earlier today. Here's what the first-round pick had to say in St. Joe today. Here's Josh Simmons.
Josh, how would you assess your first 2 straight games so far?
We're in the middle of it. I'm still working, still stacking bricks, so just give me a little longer for that, so I can get you like a estimate.
You got to fight through your first kind of long drives and that heat the other day. What was kind of your mindset? Was there a survival mode that just kind of kicks in at some point?
Yeah, definitely. But you also get it's the funnest thing you can do, like competing against like George Karlaftis, Mike Dana. So like that competitive stamina, it just kind of wipes all that kind of tiredness away. So yeah.
Josh, I'm sure there's a lot you want to improve on all the time, in particular out here at Kansas. What's drawing the bulk of your time and attention? Say that again? So I'm sure there's a lot throughout your technique, everything that you want to improve. What draws the bulk of your attention and time right now?
Right now is really understanding defenses. That way I can play a lot faster. Like if I can see a front and anticipate that they may do a stunt or a blitz or a DN might drop, then I can easily kind of help Kingsley and communicate stuff like that. So
what stands out about the stuff that Spags is filming so
far? You'll never expect it is what I can say. You'll never expect like what he'll do out of the front. So keeps me technically always on point. So
Josh, what has it been for you to have Andy Heck and Juan Castillo to really work on, I don't know if it's fundamentals or certain moves you want to do, but what have you sort of learned from those 2 guys right now?
Yeah, they put like a plethora of just different pass sets, different like hand movements into my toolbox. So it's like the best resource any rookie can have. Just having that in your back pocket, asking after like a pass rush, what did I do wrong here? How can I fix it? And then going to the next rep and then making those corrections. It's amazing.
Has there been a point so far in camp where you felt like your knee could be a problem, or you feel 100%?
As we speak, I haven't felt any like issues with it yet. Neil Elitros is platinum standard, so I mean, I tip my hat off to that dude right there.
How nice is to be back?
Really nice. Just playing football, like time just slow. It's therapy. So I'm glad to be back.
Is the recall still ongoing in some capacity, or do you completely pass like that particular?
More just maintenance. You want to make sure your body's, recovering from these types of days. So I'm just more proactive with it than maybe most.
What's the most gratifying part about when you realized you were going to be able to fully participate? Was there a certain day, a certain moment that you knew you'd be ready for this sort of challenge in your rookie season?
It was more about how I felt. I knew I was putting in a lot of work at Ohio State with Stu, and then coming here and having Julie and Rick and all those. I knew if I just showed up and put the work in, it was going to line up perfectly.
Was it legitimately every day?
Every single day, sometimes 2 a day.
What made you want to stay? I assume that's it. But what made you want to stay in the area as opposed to reacting somewhere else and talking about during the month break?
They know my body. I didn't want to go somewhere else, and then they have to kind of figure out my body, figure out, how does this work? Is he quick? Stuff like that. They know everything. Ohio State passed it down to them, so I put my trust in them. So.
Last one in the back.
Josh, how have Creed, Trey Smith, even Jaylen Watson kind of helped you adjust to the pace of the NFL? They played Ohio State, but how have they kind of helped you adjust to the NFL and how fast it moves?
They've seen it all. They've made the rookie mistakes, so they're trying to help me so I don't make them, or I'm at least ready for those welcome to the NFL moments. But it's just about the work you put in, asking them questions, even if it's something that I already know, just to confirm, like, hey, on this I should set like this or something like that. And yes, that's what you want to do. Just getting that kind of imprinted in my brain. That way I can play as fast as I can when I get out there.
That was Josh Simmons from earlier today in St. Joe, the Chiefs rookie left tackle and presumptive week 1 starter at left tackle. You see, he threw a 10-cent word in there, plethora.
Yeah.
He hit us with
really
plethora. He's learning a plethora of things so far. So interested to hear from Josh Simmons how he's progressing, and says, look, to this point, No limitations, no pain, nothing worrying him about that knee coming off of the patellar tendon injury that he suffered in October of last year. Not even a full year removed from that injury. And Josh Simmons is full steam ahead and has won that left tackle job. One other thing I want to talk about from camp today, you heard Andy Reid mention that Drew Tranquill, the veteran linebacker, left practice today, tweaked his back. Sounded like he was having a good day at camp, had an interception of a Patrick Mahomes pass. It was a crossing route intended for Travis Kelce, and Tranquill jumped it. Tranquill's a solid player, solid pro, veteran guy, trusted. If something happens to Nick Bolton, you certainly trust Tranquill with the green dot. But I also am fascinated by kind of the third guy, I guess you would call him, in the Chiefs linebacker room, Leo Chenal. And I can't help but wonder if there's not more better football from Leo if we see him a little bit more in 2025. Like, I think athletically he's the best of the linebacker group. And I'm not even sure that's a controversial statement, and I'm not even sure that's particularly close. And that's not to say that, Nick Bolton has some coverage limitations, but he's not unathletic. He's not like late career Anthony Hitchens running around out there. Drew Tranquill certainly has some of that, more of that coverage ability, and I think is a fine athlete. But I thought Tranquill's play dropped off a little bit in 2024 relative to 2023. This is just eye test. I don't have like a stat or a metric or anything here that would back this. But I just felt like he wasn't quite as impactful as he had been in 2023. Tranquill played 79% of the defensive snaps in 2024. Chenal only played 41% of the snaps. This is year 4 for Chenal, so he hits free agency next year. I would like to see more out of Chenal outside of the things that they've already been comfortable asking him to do, which is basically like, okay, if we're playing a scrambling quarterback, you're going to play more because you can shadow like Lamar Jackson. Or if we're in a pass rush situation, we can bring you around the end, or we can bring you through a gap and have you blitz. I want to see if there's a more complete linebacker in Leo Chenal because I love his athleticism. And I think there's a better chance that Leo Chenal is a partner for Nick Bolton in 2026 and beyond than Drew Tranquill. I just want to see it, because what I would hate to have happen is for the Chiefs to be in a spot where they don't entirely know what they have. And look, maybe they do. Maybe they do this stuff in camp, and maybe they've athletically tested Chenal in ways that we're not privy to, and they've just decided, yeah, look, the game, maybe it moves too fast for him if we ask him to do certain things, or he's not as good at these things as his athleticism would suggest, and he is just kind of a specialty linebacker, and his contributions are going to top out at linebacker number 3. And if that's the case, the Chiefs are going to wish Leo well, and he's going to sign a contract with somebody else next year. But I would hate to think that you would do that with a player that you have not given a chance on Sundays to show what their full potential is at linebacker. And look, I'm not trying to toss dirt on Drew Tranquill's career. He's not an old man. He turns 30 in 14 days, but he's not an old man by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's got one more year on his contract after this one. But I do wonder if maybe a little less of Tranquill, because when he was really good in 2023, he only played 57% of the snaps. So maybe a little less of Tranquill, a little more Chenal, maybe gets more out of both guys and gives you a clearer picture of whether or not Chenal is a guy who factors in, and maybe he gets, the kind of contract, the kind of second contract that like a Mike Dana got from the Chiefs a couple years back. 3 years, about $6 million a year. Like, the going rate for a linebacker is obviously lower than that. But I would like to see the Chiefs find out if Chenal is worth that second contract from them.
If he is, hypothetically here, I just looked up, if he takes a huge leap this year, like a huge leap, but you can get him for a decent contract. They could actually have a potential out on Tranquil's contract, and it'd just be 1.5 mil in dead cap.
Yeah, and I wonder, like I'm not again privy to like what Steve Spagnuolo's plans as far as snap count are for 2025, but I do wonder because Chanel is just so athletic, and I just think we're only scratching the surface of what you can do with that athleticism if all you're asking him to do is spy scrambling quarterbacks and occasionally blitz. Like, I don't think it's crazy to think there might be more there, something more impactful there. And I'd like to see him get a shot at it because I think there were times he outplayed Tranquil last year. So, again, this is not to overreact to Drew Tranquil having to leave with a back injury in camp today. Nobody seemed particularly stressed about it one way or another, and we'll see if it's a short-term thing, which it more than likely is, or if it's something more sinister than that. But it just got me thinking about the linebacker spot and got me thinking about I want to see a little more Leo Chanel in 2025 and see if he can make a big step forward. I mean, he is, again, 4th year in the pros, and he doesn't turn 25 until October. This is a relatively young guy with not a lot of tread on the tires, and I think he could add an element potentially to that defense with his athleticism. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. We are far from done talking Chiefs on this show or in this hour. We'll continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff later on this hour. We are Jaylen Watson days away from kicking off the 2025 season. And, of course, at 5:15 this afternoon, we've got our training camp report with Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs. But when we come back, it's a new month of What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk, sponsored by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Give Mo a call today, 785-273-1572. It is a new month. In case you missed it yesterday, our July champion, the Winnebago. Maybe a minor upset over Charles Embezzlement Cheese in our championship match, but the Winnebago, the two folks who were engaging in coitus while driving a stolen RV and high/drunk out of their minds. That was our winner for the month on What Is Wrong With You. And now we are into a new month here in August and a new week on What Is Wrong With You. It's a very short week. So the winner today automatically into the semifinals for the month of August is one of our short week winners. Two stories today. I will go first with the story I am calling the Lazy Lawyer. We go to Pennsylvania. A Hollidaysburg lawyer, what a town name, Hollidaysburg. Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania lawyer pled guilty in federal court on Friday to violating federal forgery laws. 41-year-old Michael Brandon Cohen pleaded guilty to 2 counts of forging the signature of a United States district judge. Cohen was licensed to practice law in Pennsylvania and the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Pennsylvania in 2022. While representing a client in a civil lawsuit against a healthcare company, he told the victim he had filed the lawsuit on the victim's behalf in the district court, but never actually filed the suit. On May 18th and October 13th of 2022, Cohen sent the victim fake court orders allegedly issued and electronically signed by the Chief United States District Judge for the Middle District of PA, Matthew W. Brand, with the orders ruling in the victim's favor against the healthcare company. However, Chief Judge Brand never issued the orders or authorized his e-signature. Cohen admitted to forging the signature on the fake orders. His sentencing is scheduled for November 18th. He faces a maximum total sentence of up to 10 years in prison, a fine of up to $500,000, or both. So this guy's got an issue with a healthcare company. You can only imagine what kind of issue you might have with a healthcare company that's serious enough that I'm going to sue them in district court. And this lawyer says, yeah, I got that. I got you covered, big dog. Go ahead and file that for you. Didn't. And then, hey, how's that lawsuit going? You won. You won. Congratulations. Here's the proof. You won the case. Oh, sweet. Well, what's my settlement? You don't worry about that. Hang tight on that. You let me worry about that while I keep accumulating these billable hours. But you won. Here's the proof. How lazy you got to be to not even file the lawsuit.
Yeah.
And then when you're busted not filing the lawsuit, like, no, I actually did, and you won. Congrats. Nice work. If you can get it. Billable hours, the undisputed champion in the legal world. All right, what do you got today, Spence?
We're going to go to Maryland, or the DMV, DC area. A Florida man is facing multiple charges after police say he defrauded an elderly Maryland woman out of $20,000 in a tech support scam.
Okay.
We've all heard of that before. So basically, Charles Horelson of Kissimmee, Florida, allegedly met with the victim on July 21st, convincing her to withdraw money, believing that there was a problem with her Norton antivirus software. Claiming that the victim was given an excessive refund, he convinced her to give him the refund. It was $20,000, and Montgomery County Police arrested him 2 days later. He faces charges including theft, conspiracy to commit theft, obtaining property from a vulnerable adult. He was released on bond July 24th. They also think that this elderly lady is not the only one who was a victim of this man who decided to try to prey on elderly people.
Yeah,
with their antivirus software on their computers.
Nothing worse than people preying on the elderly. It's a real problem. It's a horrible thing to do. There's a problem with your Norton antivirus software. Yeah, I got a problem with my Norton antivirus software. Every time I open up my laptop, I get a pop-up saying I need more Norton antivirus software. They're scamming me.
Yeah.
And I got enough, man. Like, I'm not doing like multinational computer coding on my computer. I'm accessing the internet and editing audio. That's it. I'm not doing anything real important. You want to hack into my computer? Be my guest. You know what you got? Screenshots of old funny tweets. because I'm smart enough to keep everything else on external, the important stuff. All right, who we got today? I'm tending to lean toward the lazy lawyer here. I think it's just a funnier, maybe a more lighthearted story. I just can't. Didn't actually file the lawsuit. The guy come back to check. He's like, "Oh shoot, I never did that. What if I just told him he won? What if I just told him he won? I mean, get off my back." And then working on hammering out the details of that settlement. But in the meantime, billable hours, you know how it is. Yeah, the lazy lawyer moves on into the semifinals automatically by virtue of being a very short week winner here on What Is Wrong With You, sponsored by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Again, you can give him a call at 785-273-1572 in case you or your property end up in somebody else's What Is Wrong With You story. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we're continuing our Chiefs countdown to kickoff about a player you actually know and who plays a lot for the Chiefs. That's next on 580 Sports Talk. It's 4:44 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer hanging out with you on this Friday. Hope you're having a great Friday today. We're off at 5:30. Another reminder, Royals baseball in Toronto and a little East Coast swing. So earlier first pitches, 6:07 Central Time. Royals and Blue Jays open up a 3-game set tonight. So pregame at 5:30. Mitch Holthus joining us in about half an hour, almost exactly half an hour from now. Mitch Holthus will join us for another training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. It is 35 days until the Kansas City Chiefs and Los Angeles Chargers play their Week 1 game in the 2025 NFL season in Brazil. It is less days than that. Do you realize? I did not realize this until I was wrapping up my interview with Matt Derrick in the opening hour of this show, our Chiefs insider, that when we talk to him next Friday, we will be previewing a preseason game.
I did take a gander at the preseason schedule the other day when I was doing some of my sports.
Like it's still
Wow.
It still hasn't registered with me. It never does. It always sneaks up on me.
Well, and then like last night, I needed a little bit of football.
You need a taste.
So I watched.
That addict itch. You needed.
I need that taste. So I watched the first few drives, and then I said, "All right, that's enough."
So my wife and I we got the kiddo to bed, and we did a quick project in the kitchen, and then we sat down, and I watch a lot of sports, so I kind of monopolize the remote control a lot.
Oh yeah, me too.
It's just part of the gig, right? Like I got to watch these Royals games, honey. What do you want me to do? If they were 28-80 like the Rockies are, I wouldn't have to watch them so often. Anyway, so we sat down, and I gave her the remote, and at first she didn't put anything on. I said, "Babe, if you don't choose a show in 2 minutes, I'll put the Hall of Fame game on." When I tell you we were watching a taped episode of Law and Order SVU lightning fast after that threat of preseason football being on television, that was enough to get her moving. But no, Chiefs preseason against the Cardinals next Saturday. That's happening. That is happening this next Saturday. You'll be able to hear it over on our sister station, the big 94.5 Country, 94.5 FM, WIBW FM. So we're 35 days away from a real game. And number 35 on the Kansas City Chiefs roster, this is a player you know. A player that is not an undrafted free agent defensive back. This is a player who did not meet an untimely demise. This is an active starter for the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 35 is Jaylen Watson.
Yeah, you've been giving us numbers recently.
Yeah.
And I think 2 of them have just departed the team.
Yeah, Darius Rush. We did Darius Rush last week, and he was waived with an injury designation today. There was one other who was too that we talked about fairly recently.
Eric Scott?
Yeah, had to been Eric Scott. Yeah. So they were waived with injury designations today, if you want to do a little accounting. Jaylen Watson, though, he's not going anywhere. He's starting on the other side of the defense, along with Trent McDuffie and Christian Fulton in the slot. And I got to thinking, is the Chiefs secondary underrated? Like, I went into this thinking that. Like, I think most people around the league understand how good Trent McDuffie is. Maybe the players don't know, because he's only apparently the 82nd best player in the NFL, according to the NFL's top 100. He's only number 82. Bo Nix is 64, but Trent McDuffie's 82. Sure, yeah, definitely. Yes, 32 NFL GMs. Which of those two guys they'd rather have? 32 out of 32 are taking McDuffie, but that's what the players think apparently. But we all know Trent McDuffie's good. He's already been a first-team All-Pro, had his first 2 career interceptions last year. McDuffie's a dude. Everybody knows that. Jaylen Watson's dudeness, I feel like, gets overlooked, and a big part of that is he missed so much of last season, but he was playing at a really high level before he got hurt. Pro Football Focus, out of 222 cornerbacks in the NFL, they ranked him 29th last year with a 74.2 coverage grade. That's out of 100. That was 29th best in the league out of 222 cornerbacks who played enough snaps to qualify. That puts him in the upper echelon. Not quite the top 10%, but not far away as a cover corner. Now, he's not quite as physical. He's not quite as well-rounded as McDuffie. I mean, there's a reason that McDuffie was a first-round pick, is going to get a big contract, and Jaylen Watson was a seventh-round pick, right? There's a difference between those guys. But Watson as a cover corner on the boundary is really, really good. And there aren't many, if any, cover duos that you'd rather have starting on the outside than him and Trent McDuffie. Just off the top of my head, I'd take the guys in Houston, Stingley and, oh my God, we just talked about him yesterday, the other kid, who's a young guy. Dang it, I'm going to have to go look up his name. I know, awesome radio. Good. Forgetting his name. Oh, my. Kamari Lassiter.
Yeah.
I knew it was Lassiter. Kamari Lassiter. Yeah. Those guys, those two I might take ahead of McDuffie and Watson. I don't know. Like, Diggs and Bland in Dallas have certainly put up numbers, but are those guys as good in coverage, or do they just intercept a lot of passes because quarterbacks aren't afraid of them? Like, so that was my thought, right? Like, this is probably a really underrated secondary. And we add in what Jaden Hicks showed as a rookie. You add in what Brian Cook has shown in his career. You add in Christian Fulton, the proven guy to play the slot this year. And then you talk about the depth that this secondary has. Depth with Mike Edwards at safety, Chamari Connor, Noel Williams, the third-round pick. I got to thinking to myself, this is a top 5 secondary in the league, and I feel like nobody talks about this as a secondary like that. And then, of course, I proved myself wrong by going to Pro Football Focus. They rank the Chiefs secondary second best in the league.
Wow.
Only Baltimore ahead of Kansas City. This is what PFF's John Costco wrote earlier this offseason. While the Chiefs may lack household names, their secondary is a cohesive unit that performs at a high level. Trent McDuffie leads the group and is arguably the NFL's best cornerback, topping all players at the position in advanced coverage grades over the past 2 seasons. Cornerback Jaylen Watson and safety Jaden Hicks were both strong in 2024. Kansas City also added Christian Fulton in free agency and drafted Noel Williams in the 3rd round to bolster an already excellent group. Denver, by the way, 3rd. Houston, 4th. New England, 5th. I would have thought the Jets might be higher. I forgot DJ Reed's not a Jet anymore. What a mistake that was, letting that guy go. The Jets were 11th. Other divisional teams, Chargers are 9th. And the Raiders have not had a good secondary since like Lester Hayes was still playing. They are 32nd. A reminder, there are 32 teams in the NFL. So not underrated. As it turns out, this Chiefs secondary, not only not underrated, properly rated. This is an elite group. And when we talk about the Chiefs pass rush, they should have more opportunities to get the quarterback down just because the coverage unit should be even better this year. If Watson is able to stay healthy for a full season, Fulton plugging in at the slot, the depth that they have, Hicks flying around at safety with a full season as a starter. I firmly believe that this could be the best secondary in the NFL when all's said and done. And they may not have the opportunity to intercept as many passes, but I think they're going to create a lot of sack opportunities for Chris Jones and company up front. We'll take a quick break here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back, play a little Change My Mind to wrap up the 4 o'clock hour next. All right, let's do Change My Mind to wrap up the 4 o'clock hour 5A Sports Talk today. I feel like you never get to go first on this one, Spencer, so I'm going to defer to you. Give me a Change My Mind.
Change my mind for what the Royals gave up. They may have made out the best, not necessarily the best, but on the upper echelon of teams making it that bought the way they did.
Yeah, I think that they did not like, and this is not to disrespect Freddie Fermin, but like he was a backup catcher.
Yeah.
In an organization where that is a position of strength, both present and future. And yeah, I don't think that they're going to miss. I mean, even going back to the other minor moves that they had made to get Randall Grichuk, to get Adam Frazier, I'm not sure anybody they gave up. The one guy who's like real intriguing to me as a future value guy is probably Junior Marte, the pitcher that they gave up in the Yastrzemski trade to San Francisco. But even he's 21 and in A-ball, far away. And you never know what's going to happen to a pitching prospect. So, yeah, I think that they did well to keep their powder pretty dry. They did not give up anybody that I felt like was going to impact the major league roster in a significant way. And they have added guys who I think have a chance to do that and that made them better. Even if they didn't raise the ceiling, like I was saying in the 3 o'clock hour. I don't know that they raised the ceiling a whole lot.
Yeah.
But they raised the floor a good bit. And I think that's every bit as important with 2 months left in the regular season. Change my mind real quick. 3-3 the next 6 for the Royals is fine. Through Toronto and Boston. 3-3 is fine.
Yeah. It's fine. You want to go 4-2.
Yeah, 4-2, obviously a lot better.
But if you're 2-4,
even 2-4, I'm not going crazy about. This is the hardest 6-game stretch the rest of the season.
I'd be disappointed in 1-5.
Yeah, 1-5 and worse. That'd be a real problem for sure. It's a short final hour, really only a final half hour before Royals baseball. Mitch Holthus joins us at 5:15. So stay with us. 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Final half hour of the day and the week here on 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and of course on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Thanks to our new subscribers today over at our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. See, we can't add some more before we're done at 5:30 today. 580 Sports Talk is a YouTube channel. And if you are new and watching today, jump in the live chat. We love to hear from you. You can also text the show, 785-272-9429. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you till 5:30. Then we were handing things off to the Royals Baseball Network. Royals and Blue Jays, 3-game set in Toronto starts tonight as the Royals try and take down one of the hottest teams in all of baseball. The Jays have won 38 of their last 56 to take a 3.5-game lead in the American League East. Tonight, it's Michael Wacha on the mound for the Royals. Mike Yastrzemski will make his Royals debut. He joins the team from San Francisco after yesterday's trade. He's in right field batting 6th in tonight's lineup. Matt Cotrero earlier tonight confirming that it will be Bailey Falter and Ryan Bergert who join the starting rotation. Stephen Kolek earlier today also acquired, along with Bergert from San Diego, was sent down to AAA. So it's going to be Bergert and Falter to the big league roster when they join the team. Presumably that will mean Jonathan Bolin and Thomas Hatch will be sent down, or in Hatch's case, if he has options, if he doesn't have options, he may be DFA'd. But it's going to be Falter and Bergert who open the Boston series Monday and Tuesday, although the order in which they will start, not entirely clear. Whoever starts on Monday will be on regular rest because both Bergert and Falter started on Tuesday night. Anyway, Royals tonight's Michael Wacha on the hill for them as they embark on a big weekend series against the Blue Jays. We'll hand the ball off at 5:30 to the Royals Baseball Network. In about 7 minutes or so, Mitch Holthus is going to join us for a training camp report presented by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union as we hear from Mitch before we sign off for the day. That means we better sprint through these 580 Sports Talk headlines. We better fly through these suckers. One big NFL one that we'll get to at the end. We'll start with this one, though. This is pretty cool. We talked about it earlier. TBT, the basketball tournament. Alumni teams from KU and K-State played. The KU team beat the K-State team before they were ultimately eliminated. Well, the Wichita State alumni, the Aftershocks, are going to play for the big prize. They made the championship game. They beat We Are D3 last night in one of the semifinals at Koch Arena in Wichita, and they will take on Eberline Drive on Sunday night for the TBT championship and the $1 million prize. That game will also be at Koch Arena. They're going to sell that puppy out.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were last night. It's a 3:00 Central tip if you can watch it on Fox. But I saw on the TBT socials that was like the record for the most fans at a TBT game.
Yeah.
And then they had pictures of them going to the box office after the game
to
buy their tickets for Sunday's game.
Go buy championship game tickets. Only 4 of the 10 players on the Aftershocks actually played at Wichita State. I think it's Rashard Kelly, Marcus McDuffie, Connor Frankamp, and I'm forgetting the 4th guy. But it's not like a full alumni team, but there's enough of that alumni presence. And Wichita folks love Shocker basketball, love hoops. It's a great hoops town. Very cool to have seen that, the TBT championship game for the Aftershocks on Sunday afternoon. Spencer, it's watch list season. Run us through them.
Yeah, it is. We missed yesterday, so we'll go through here. We'll start with KU. Leighton Cure is on the Warfel Trophy watch list.
That is for community service and academic achievement. So a very cool award.
And then Laith Marjan Lou.
Laith Marjan is
Laith Marjan.
Yeah, he's the new kicker, and he
is up for the Lou Groza Place Kicker Award in the preseason. Moving to K-State, Austin Romaine up for the Butkus Award. I believe that's the best linebacker in the country. Damian Elalio is up for the Warfel Trophy, the community service one for K-State. And Dylan Edwards has 2 honors, one yesterday, one today, coming out. The Paul Hornig Award and the Jet Award. I believe the Hornig is the best running back, and the Jet Award might be the returner.
I think that's right.
I think it's returner award.
So, some preseason recognition for a handful of Jayhawks and Wildcats. All right, the big NFL headline. We would talk about this for like 15 minutes if we had the space to do it today, but we don't. Micah Parsons, star edge rusher for the Dallas Cowboys, has requested a trade and has done so publicly on his social media accounts, writing in a very lengthy notes app explanation. Yes, I wanted to be here. I did everything I could to show that I wanted to be a Cowboy and wear the star in my helmet. Unfortunately, I no longer want to be here. I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying on the line for our organization, our fans, and my teammates. I no longer want narratives created and spread to the media about me. I had purposely stayed quiet in hopes of getting something done, but since there's confusion out there, let me clear some things up. Then he goes on to clear some things up, and at the very end, he says, I have made a tough decision. I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally. Let me just say this. Micah Parsons is going to get a contract from the Dallas Cowboys. They're not going to trade him. He's going to play for the Cowboys. Like, remember when Myles Garrett said, I want to trade. I want out of Cleveland. Thank you, Cleveland. It's been real. It's been fun. And then like 3 weeks later, they were like, well, what if we made you the highest paid non-quarterback in the league? And Myles Garrett was like, actually, I love Cleveland and I love being a Brown. They're going to do the same for Micah Parsons. Like, that's the price of the brick right now is TJ Watt's at $41 million a year. Better get ready to break off Micah Parsons at least 42, if not more. But it's going to get done. But this is what the Cowboys do. They ruin their relationships with their best players. They drag their names through the mud. They humiliate the organization like this. And then they get the deal done when there's bad vibes and bad feelings all around. That's how the Cowboys operate because they love being a soap opera and they love being on the front page. And that is how they exist. They exist as an attention-getting device more so than they exist as a functional football franchise.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Jones was out there literally talking ass about him like a week ago, right? If I'm not mistaken, that happened. That's correct. I didn't.
So, yeah, it obviously looks bad, but look, they're gonna sign him. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. They are going to sign Micah Parsons. He is going to make more money than any non-quarterback ever has in the history of the game. That's where this was always probably heading. It just got needlessly contentious because the Cowboys are bad at doing business. Because Jerry Jones is bad at doing his job. Because the Cowboys are bad at doing business and they don't treat their players well. And they're a soap opera. But you know what? People watch and talk about soap operas. And that's what Jerry Jones wants more than anything. I think more than that glory hole that he talks about. His glory hole is attention.
Yeah,
his glory hole
when
is
that happened.
Being the lead story on First Take 8 months out of the year. That's what they really prize in Dallas is that. So that'll do it for our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We will step aside for a timeout. We will come back with the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, for a training camp report as we wrap up a shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk. We'll be joined momentarily by Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, for another training camp report. They are brought to you by Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azure Credit Union. Contact Crystal Rippey, Kirsten McCall, or Naseem Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Trent McDuffie is in the spotlight for today's training camp report. We're trying right now to connect with the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. Again, typically we do these at 5:25, but by request, moving it up a little bit because, again, we are off early today due to Royals baseball. Royals and Blue Jays tonight at the at the Sky Dome, Rogers Center. 6:07 first pitch. Pregame at 5:30 here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Michael Wacha taking the mound for the Royals, and Kevin Gosman, the veteran right-hander and alma mater, the same high school I went to, Grandview High School in Aurora, Colorado, getting the ball tonight for Toronto. Believe that is correct anyhow. I guess I haven't checked. He was the scheduled starter, but I guess not the announced starter. It will be Gosman tonight. Yeah, just waiting on Mitch. We'll wait as long as we must to speak with the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs again for our training camp reports. Next Saturday is the first preseason game for the Chiefs. They play against the Arizona Cardinals in Phoenix as their preseason opener. You will be able to hear that game on our sister station, the Big 94.5 Country, on Saturday night with pregame coverage at 6 and the kickoff at 7. But now we are joined by Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, again, courtesy of Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Mitch, today we're talking about Trent McDuffie, who has been nothing short of spectacular since his first time on the field as a Kansas City Chief, and a player who has already been an All-Pro and has a chance, I think, to have a lot more honors like that come his way throughout what should be a great career.
Where we as fans or NFL fans overall make a mistake with defensive linemen, we got into this last night with Chris Jones, is sacks. And Chris has affected the game so many other ways than sacks. It's even more that way with defensive backs like Trent McDuffie, because they think, where's all the interceptions? He's only had 3 in his career and none in his first 2 years. But 113 solo tackles last year, 14 passes defense, or 13 passes defense, 14 quarterback hits. If he doesn't have the slot blitz on Brock Purdy in Super Bowl 58, the Chiefs don't win the game. Trent McDuffie does so many things, dozens of things to help this defense be effective and to be so good. And it's not just about interceptions. And it's not like he doesn't have skill or ball skills. It's just that it hasn't happened. But he has grown so much in his 3 years as a cornerback and as a defensive leader. And he's excited about this year and the fact that maybe some more snaps back in the slot.
2 years ago when I said there's just something special with this group of guys coming here, and the communication's been on point, the work ethic's been on point, and I think everybody has bought into this system and ready to roll.
For you, the ability to move back inside some if you have to play the slot or play outside, or the fact that Spags like to shift it around. What about adding more guys that can play so that allows you to be able to move around?
I love it. I mean, when you talk about Spags defense, all you think about is different guys playing in different positions. And the more guys you get that can do more, I think just makes the defense even more unique. Because now you got guys that can play corner, nickel, different guys at different positions doing different things. And I feel like we're going to give a lot of quarterbacks a lot of headaches.
This is why Christian Fulton needs to get on the field, hopefully, as soon as he can. And then a guy like Noel Williams, the rookie corner out of Cal, was at Arizona State prior. More guys that can play on the outside allows McDuffie to go to the slot. One thing I talked to Trent about that's not on this interview, and I might have it later in the month, I said, you blitz like an edge rusher, like you're Khalil Mack. He said he studies edge rushers when he goes with how they go after quarterbacks. He said that, he did this all the way back to Washington. So he's an effective blitzer, not just this out-of-control defensive back when he blitzes. And he's a superb tackler. The fact that he's got another 63 solo or assists with his 100. He's got 170 tackles in 3 years as a corner, and that's incredible.
You mentioned the versatility, and it's been a hallmark of really the Steve Spagnuolo defense, but particularly the secondary, where Spags and Brett Veach in the draft process and the UDFA process have really valued guys who have the ability to play multiple positions. It's guys not just like Trent McDuffie or L'Jarius Sneed, of course, who excelled in a variety of roles. It's guys like Chamari Connor. It's guys like Chris Rowland Wallace, who made the team last year based on some of his versatility. It's the ability to move in and out. And McDuffie, we know he's an elite slot corner. Last time he played full-time in the slot, he was a first-team All-Pro as the slot corner. And it's a great problem to have when you have a guy who's that good both inside and outside. Where do you put him? Where does he make the most sense? And that I think, Mitch, is maybe the happiest problem for Steve Spagnuolo to have and try to solve with his defense this year.
And it's also why Spags, when you heard his comments, it was kind of under his breath or a little bit sublime when he was asked about Christian Fulton, like, well, we don't know what we have yet. Christian didn't do a lot in the OTAs. But to your point, well, the reason I answer it that way or respond to it is the fact that if Fulton is up and running and he's a good corner, we know Jaylen Watson's got a lot of miles and that he can do it. Hopefully Najee Johnson's a contributor. And he's better than people give him credit for. But if you've got Fulton and Jaylen Watson and your slot is McDuffie, the other part, and Spags won a Super Bowl championship with the Giants kind of doing this, but not with the DBs as much as I recall. Now, the corners look like safeties look like corners. And yes, and remember this now when you evaluate the draft next year. And a lot of teams do. And so the corner's better tackle. You can't take those plays off. That's why they're so good against tunnel screens and bubble screens. But then the safeties have to have the ability to cover and play the slot. Because Chamari Connor will play a lot in the slot, even if Fulton is healthy and ready to go. That's part of the whole mix and match of Spags defense.
We're joined by Mitch Holthus here for another training camp report brought to you by IV and Azure Credit Union. And this offseason, a few weeks ago before camp, Trent McDuffie was recognized by his peers as the number 81st overall player in the top 100 players of 2025 by the NFL. And it's a peer voted ranking system. It's the first time he's made that list. How do you think that last year specifically made everyone see how good he really is?
Excellent question, because it goes back to the slot discussion. But because of personnel and injuries, and they had to play more safety, three big nickel, he had to play on the outside. Well, the good point of that was the questions around the league was, is he just really the best slot nickel in the NFL, or is he an outside corner as well? Last year, he proved that he could play both at a very high level. Hence, his all his best defense, which is near the top of the league. I think that's your answer. The fact that he was put in a role where more snaps outside than inside, and showed the world that he could do both jobs.
Mitch, you were talking about the secondary earlier today. We've been doing a countdown to Chiefs kickoff in the opening game and going by jersey number. And today we're 35 days out of the season opener. Number 35 is Jaylen Watson, who's McDuffie's kind of tag team partner on the other side. And Jaylen Watson was having a breakout 2025 before he got hurt, and then came back and played well. He was exceptionally good in the AFC Championship game. When you look at this corner group as a whole, is this as deep as you think this group has been going into the season with the addition of Fulton, McDuffie and Watson as established guys? And it's a deep enough group that you've got guys who've started games for the Chiefs who are kind of fighting for roster spots at the back of the roster this year.
Well, Joshua Williams would be the guy that fits your statement. If Fulton is healthy, I would agree with you. If he's not, you're back in the same boat. And then you're going to be playing Najee Johnson, or if Noah Williams can grow, that he has a ways to go. Not that he's not getting there. It's just you're going to be asking a lot to put him out there. I know we played these Fab Five rookies back in 2022. So to answer your question, possibly. It's not there yet. And it's why if Josh Simmons is the biggest, the most pleasant surprise of this camp, of anywhere on this team, offensive or defense or special teams, then I would say not having Christian Fulton to this point would be the most disappointing piece. And not that he's out, but it'd be, let's get him on the field, see what he can do, and then really put all the Spag stuff in motion. In the case of Jaylen, you know, he did not have a good Super Bowl. He got hit on that out and up that led to the first Eagles touchdown. And it wasn't like he was in terrible position, but he got beat. Now, the deep post pattern, when I talked to our defensive coaches, it looked like it was on him, but really it was Justin Reed who blew that coverage. But the Eagles got after Jaylen Watson a bit. And so Jaylen now has to continue to improve as a pro. In his fourth year, they know all of his moves and lack of moves. And so that's where McDuffie's been really good. He continues to hone his craft, and Jaylen needs to do the same, especially going into the 2025 season.
Mitch Holthus' training camp reports are brought to us by Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azure Credit Union, where you can contact Crystal Rippey, Kirsten McCall, or Naseem Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Mitch, who are we going to talk about on Monday? We got another theme week coming up?
Well, let me ask you this, because today's 35 days out, right? That's your countdown?
That's right.
You catch a break. You don't have shows tomorrow on 36 or 37, because who wears 36 or 37 for the Chiefs?
Yeah, we did do those the last 2 days. We did tell the stories of Joe Delaney and Mackley Hill. Yes.
Okay, good. You got that, because there's others, Stone Johnson, and there's a lot of numbers that are out of commission for the Chiefs. I would say more than you would think for a franchise that started in 1960. All right, that being said, you're going to have 38 on Monday. So, I mean, you got Knowles, man. So you got Knowles, who nobody knows Knowles about, or Ron Parker from back in the day. But we're going to go to the next mountain over. And that's why I kind of started it with McDuffie, because McDuffie leads us into next week. Who is on the verge of being the Mount Rushmore replacements when Mahomes is away, but Kelsey's not there, or Chris Jones is not there? Then who are the replacements? Who are the next great players for the Chiefs that are on this roster ready to bust out? That we're going to dive into that next week, because it's really a key to the season.
Mitch, we look forward to it on Monday. Thank you so much for your time.
Got it, guys. Have a great weekend.
That is Mitch Holthus, and that is 580 Sports Talk for this Friday. We got Royals baseball coming up next. We'll be back on Monday from 3 until 5:30. For Spencer Dupuis, I am Dan Lucero. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.